Alright, thank you. Okay, we are live at, it's finally 3 o'clock. Welcome to my channel. It is called Black Eye Galaxy. My name is Eden, and this is my first episode. So if you're just tuning in, you are the first viewer. So I'm very excited for this channel. It has been a long time coming. I not a stranger to CCTV. Initially started with them when I was 20, going on 21. I was a cablecast intern, and kind of just I was going through when you're in your early 20s, you don't really know what you want to do, and I was trying to figure out like what is my passion, and I always cared about like watching films. As a child, I grew up really poor, so there wasn't a lot of things my parents could get me into. So the one thing that I loved to do as a child was watch movies, and I always wanted to be, just like doing something creative. So this channel is gonna gonna help me facilitate my skills in that world, the film world, because I really want to be a filmmaker. But for now, because of my financial situation, I'm just gonna take my time because it's been a basically a rough period for me. That's why I'm naming this show Black Eye Galaxy. The reason why I named it that is because spiritually, the last couple of years have been a really dark time for me. Dealing with a lot of personal issues that I will be kind of discussing on this channel because I feel like um, we, I don't know what it is, but I feel like in America they don't really like to discuss like serious mental health issues. Like I mean, my generation, I'm a millennial, I'm 36, so I feel like, you know, my generation is really doing a lot of talk about mental health, but in the past, they didn't really discuss mental health. It was like if you had a, bad situation, it was like, you know what, um, just deal with it. Everybody goes through something, you know what I mean? But now it's like we're getting into a point where everybody is like everybody. I feel like mentally, a lot of people are going through it. So, and obviously, if you are somebody who suffers from generational trauma like myself, um, you know, it's not easy to navigate that on your own. When you have generational trauma, for those of you who don't know, that has a lot to do with it's not one person. It's really usually a family dynamic. So in my case, in my family, my father suffered from alcoholism growing up. That was something that was a very, like, it was a private thing. I never discussed that with friends or friends or, teachers or anybody outside of my family. It was just something that we kept within ourselves. It was like, just, I mean, like when you go through alcohol addiction, when the alcoholic is suffering from alcoholism, it's not just the alcoholic; it's everybody in the family. Everybody in the family is suffering, and I know, you know, it's a we tend to focus on the alcoholic in the world. In my channel, I'm not going to be talking about the alcoholic. I'm going to be talking about the people that have to deal with the alcoholic. Okay, the friends, the family members. You know what I mean? Even strangers. You know what I mean? So my father had a very tough battle with alcoholism, and I watched my father suffer from that for many years. I'm 36, and unfortunately, he never could fight that battle. He never did, and that's a really hard thing to experience, to watch somebody deal with an addiction. It's spiritually, it's a very dark place. And being his daughter, you absorb a lot of that because it's just a part of it. It's generational. It's passed down to you. Even though I don't suffer from alcoholism, I suffer from a lot of the trauma that my father dealt with because I was absorbing that energy. So it's it's not an easy thing to experience. So the reason why I called this channel the Black, actually I had a funny enough, I had a hard time coming up with a title like for this channel because I was like thinking like, what the hell am I gonna name it? Because my first, I don't know if I mentioned this like in the first tidbit, but like when this is my third time being on CCTV. Okay, the first time, 2008, 2009, I was a cable cast intern. Second time, 2014, I did have a Be Live show. It was called Spirituality with Eden. And then I had, another family, like it was a health issue. So I had to cancel that. I don't even think it made it to like, past 3 episodes. I think I only did like 2 episodes. And this is the third time. So hopefully this time I'm going to be settled enough to, do this channel because it is really hard. Um, you know what's really hard for me? I will admit it's hard for me to start something. Like I know of some people they can start a lot of things and then it's hard to finish. No, for me it's like I can't even start it. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm in my freaking head. Like I'm a Pisces, so I'm always dreaming. I'm always like in my fantasies, and I have to like push myself out of that world. It's not a productive world to be in that mindset of just always imagining and never creating. It's not good for your womb, your sacral chakra, because you need to be creating. You should be creating all the time. Sometimes it's not easy, because again, um, if you're if you're surrounded by this black eye. Oh yeah, I forgot to. I'm gonna go into deeper with the Black Eye Galaxy. This whole meaning, why I came up with this title, because it's also called not only Black Eye. It's also called Evil Eye Galaxy, and then Sleeping Beauty Galaxy. So if you ever watched that movie Sleeping Beauty, you know it has a lot of dark elements, just like a lot of Disney movies have a lot of dark elements in their shows. But Evil Eye, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to title it Evil Eye because I'm like, I don't know if that's kind of a little too dark. I just wanted to make it a little PG so that people don't get too scared from my channel. But yeah, Black Eye really is about Evil Eye energy. And Evil Eye, where I'm from, I'm originally from Eritrea, and it's a country in the Horn of Africa, Northeast Africa, and we believe in the evil eye. We believe it means for us, translation, evil eye just means Aini Seb. Aini means I, and Seb is person. So I of a person. Okay. So just kind of think about that. Think about evil eye. Think about like when somebody is transferring their energy, their evil eye energy onto you. You know. And out here, I mean, I don't know if people really, believe in that. Nowadays, people, they wear this trend where they wear the jewelry with the evil eye. But in my culture, that's a concept that we believe in, that you can actually get sick from that. You know what I mean? It's not just people making things up. It's a very serious form of spiritual attack on you, the evil eye, the black eye. And so it's something I feel like in my particular family we have been affected by a lot, the evil eye, just because it could be just jealousy. People are also very jealous. There's a lot of dark forces in this world, on Earth. But even it's funny. I don't think I wanted to show the kind of image, but I was looking up on Google. Like this was like in the summer. I came about. I discovered the Black Eye Galaxy when I was looking at pictures over the summer of like in the NASA website, because I like to watch. Like I'm into astronomy. I took it in college. Just one class, and it really made me appreciate just how small I was, because it really makes you feel small when you really study the whole world, and how sometimes we can make ourselves feel so much bigger than what we are. We can make our problems feel much bigger than we are. But when you take astronomy, man, I don't know, you almost feel as if like, you know what, like, I mean, it is serious. Don't get me wrong. When you have your trauma and you have problems, it is serious. I'm not gonna downplay it, because that's what I'm talking about. That's why I have the point of my show. But to humble us as well, God also wants us to be very humble, and you really do feel humble when you see God's creation and like how big and enormous. And I'm gonna get into the facts. How big, just we're in the Milky Way galaxy. That's just, you know what I mean. And then there's so many others. There's so many others, so many stars, so many planets that we can't always see. And I want you guys to understand. I want you, when you're watching the show, I want you to feel like, you know what? Yes, my problems are, they're real. But at the same time, there's things bigger than me. So don't always feel so overwhelmed by your issues. Feel sometimes like that's why I feel humble when I'm reading about, astronomy, and I'm like reading about so many different facts. I'm always feeling like, you know what? Sometimes when you look up at the sky, I mean, now in America, because of air pollution and the light pollution, you can't really see a lot of stars, but when you look at it and you look at the sky, you kind of really realize, you know what, our world is so vast and so big, and don't feel like, that, don't magnify yourself too much. It's not good, you know. Try to, you know, try to really dig deep and understand that the world that we have, and the life that we have is so small. We're not going to be here for long. Even though sometimes when you're in the midst of like your horrible moments in life, you really feel like you want to give up. And I've had those moments. I really have. So, and I will go into depth. This is only for the first show, so I don't want to give too much away. But I've had moments, where you feel like a very dark place. I would say I'm 36 now. Um, I would say the last 12 years, since 2012, I would say about like this whole chapter of my life has been very, very, I mean, my whole life has kind of been very on the rocky side, but I would say the last 12 years have been really like the most hardest for me. And emotionally, I'm a very strong person. So I consider myself like, be able to take in a lot. So for me to even say the last 12 years has been, giving me literally a black eye. And that's why I also want to emphasize the Black Eye Galaxy. This show, it's kind of, it's for people um, that have spiritually been like punched down, mentally, physically, psychologically. Um, if you have been, like I said earlier, if you have dealt with a parent that has an addiction to any kind of drug, you know what I mean? If you have just toxic parents and just people like your friends or your family not really supporting you, if been sexually abused, all of that, these are all a form of a spiritually like a black eye. Your eyes are the windows of the soul. Okay, so if you get a black eye, that's your eye. That means your soul has taken a big punch, a big, like a, such a like, this is not like, I had a bad day. I lost my job. I'm not talking about that type of trauma. I'm not. I'm talking about deep psychological, like years and years of unhealed trauma. Which spans generations, which I will discuss in my, episode. But again, this is the original. This is just the first show, and I don't want to overwhelm you because really, what my main goal here is to do a documentary about um, back in, back in 2017, I was 29, and I had just become homeless. Now, I'm no longer homeless anymore, okay? But that was 5.5 years of my life being homeless. And I just got out of that situation. But even though that's 5.5 years, I'm not the same woman. I had, look at my hair. I don't even have any hair because it's my mind. I'm no longer the same Eden. You can't be the same person once you've been homeless. That's a whole nother, you know, that's an evil place to be in. It's a very dark place to be in. It really is. Um, so I want to do a documentary about homelessness because a lot of us in this society are very judgmental about people that are homeless. They don't understand, number one, how do you become homeless? They don't get it. They just think, oh, they think in society, a lot of people think being homeless, they think it's a personal failure. And it's like, it's really not just a personal friend. It's deeper than that. So again, I don't want to talk too much, but that's one of my goals of doing this Be Live show is really working on my documentary about being homeless, because that's like there's no guideline. You can't read a book in the library and it tells you how to um how to like how to go through being homeless. You just can't. You have to go through it. And I hope you don't ever have to go through this. If there's one thing that you learn from this show, it's I'm gonna teach you how to never become in that place. Okay. And number one, you have to learn how to love yourself. So, okay. So that's number one. That's it. So that was 15 minutes of my first little mini introduction about why I'm doing this show and how what are my goals. My goal really is again to do the documentary and to work on my film, um, my creative side and my filmmaking because I'm an artist. So at the core of me is that. So why did I name this show Black Eye Galaxy? So I said in the summer that I was kind of just looking at pictures online about different pictures of the. I like watching. I always like seeing images of the different. That NASA always has a lot of different images of like uh, just different star and galaxies, and there was obviously more. I don't think you can see this. My like it's like yeah, I can't really see it, but I'm gonna. Once I learn how to use these little things here, I think I'll be able to put it on. Um, Maybe you can see it here. I don't know if you can kind of see it. Um, so that's how it looks. If you see it, you see the darkness and you see a little bit of light. Um, from a distance, it kind of looks like an eye. But so well, we can look at some fun facts about the Black Eye Galaxy. I guess they call it Messier 64. That's like its technical name, I guess, for the NASA. And it's 17 million light years away from Earth. And then it's in the constellation of Coma Berenices. And I actually Google Berenices because I wanted to know, like, what does it mean? We'll go into that a little later. It's about half the size of the Milky Way. Um, and so the appearance of the Black Eye Galaxy is basically it has like a band of dust in front of its bright nucleus, which is why they have give it the name. And I feel like because of my life, I've been through so much trauma. I feel like this is like the image for me. Like, this represents exactly. Because I always feel like I don't know why. I know it sounds kind of negative to say this, but I feel like I attract. I guess because of my trauma, I attract very dark, like just dust particles around me. And so this really gravitated towards me. Plus, I also like the way that it looks. I like that there's so much darkness, but then you also see a little, like a light. There's a visible light to the nucleus in the middle. Um, and okay, so that's where it gets its nickname. So the visibility, for I guess for amateur astronomers, you can see it with they say with small telescopes. You could also see it with binoculars, which is fun. I've never done stargazing before with telescopes, but that would be one fun field trip to do to go on. Okay, so I want to go talk about the Berenice. So that's a female name. So this is in the constellation of this Coma Berenices. So this was interesting for me. I wrote this down. Berenice is a female name which means bringer of victory. Um, so that's a very like a high. If you even think about that right now, bringer of victory. Somebody that brings victory. How many you bring a victory? You won. Do you know how hard it is to win? Especially when you're going through spiritual trauma. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you always feel defeated. That's why I felt like wow, like even in the constellation that it's in, it named it that. It's not by accident. And the name, comes from the Greek name Phereniki, Pharaoh to bear, and Nike victory. Nike. Um, a lot of people think Nike is pronounced Nike. That it's not pronounced Nike. A lot of people mispronounce that. I know it's like the popular sneaker brand, but I met somebody from Greece, and she told me when I was at the homeless shelter, she's like, because she was like, oh, your name is Eden? And I was like, yeah. She's like, do people always mispronounce her name? I said, yeah, my whole life. They would say Eden. And I was like, no, it's pronounced Eden. And I'll get to my name in another episode, but it was always annoying because I was always like, I would have more knowledge about my name because it literally comes from my ancestors. The majority of the names that you see on people, it's from passed down from family lineages. Um, but yeah, she was always like, she was telling me, she's like, I was like, what? How do you pronounce your name? And it's funny enough because she told me she was Greek, you know. She was like, um, it's pronounced Nikki, and I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, like that's so funny. It's like, why? And I was like, because all my life, I have to tell you this little story because I thought it was really funny. And she cracked up when I told her this. I was like, all my life, my father used to always be like Nikki because he had a Eritrean accent, you know. So I always used to think he was pronouncing it wrong. I was like, Daddy, I was like, it's not Nikki, I was like, it's Nike, and he's like, no, Nikki, it's Nikki, and she told me it's Nikki, so my dad was right the whole time. So that was funny. She was laughing at me when I told her that story. She's like, oh my god, that's funny. Your dad, so then your dad's the only person that got my name right. I was like, yeah, he is. So, okay, so yeah, the constellation where this black eye galaxy is Bereniki, to bear victory. So that's a very important thing. I want you guys to like this kind of like think about to bear victory, to like basically to win. You know what I mean? It's like everybody wants to win in this life. You know, there's a lot of people when you was in that homeless shelter, man, there's so many people that you see they lost. It's like, and I don't mean that in like a, I don't mean it to mean in a like, you know, oh my god, like whatever, like in a joking way. I'm not even joking about that. Like I'm saying they lost their battle. Okay, like you know how hard it is to still be on this earth while you're going through so much trauma, and it doesn't help being at a homeless shelter because you're surrounded by people who, a lot of them, the staff members, the people that are there, they don't want you to win. You know what I mean? Like, they want you to stay in your deep, dark depression. I've met a lot of dark people when I was in a homeless shelter, which is why I am bringing up this in my show. I have to. It's going to be a topic of discussion. So, um, back to the fun facts, okay? So at this time, there's no info about the number of planets in the Black Eye Galaxy because it's so far away. I don't think they don't have enough information about, that. But the Black Eye Galaxy is known by astronomers for its strange internal motion. And then I guess it was created, they say, a billion years ago. It was a collision of two galaxies has left. Why did you um, it's no two galaxies kind of collapsed, and that's how that galaxy was created. Um, so Google Black Eye Galaxy and just look at it how it looks, and it really takes your breath away because it's very beautiful. Even though it kind of has like a little darkness around it, and even when with the Sleeping Beauty term, they say they also call it Sleeping Beauty Galaxy. I think the reason why, you know, there was a reason why. I think it said something about in the movie the Sleeping Beauty. I guess there was a scene that looked like the black that kind of looked like the Black Eye Galaxy image. I think they said that in the movie. But even in that movie, if you look at the theme of that movie, there's like a beautiful woman. Someone is jealous of her, and she literally put to sleep. Literally put into like a really deep, dark coma, because nobody wants her to win. It's like all that kind of. It's basically like that theme. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of people on Earth, because we're all made. This is the thing. We're all made just like how in the stars up above and the galaxies, we all contain all that energy because we're made up of star particles. So we have to, acknowledge that. But I'm telling you right now, when you're in a dark place, the last thing you want to do is be attracting dark other people, and it's hard to attract like positive people when you're in a dark place. You can't. It's almost. It's like that saying. You know that saying. Everywhere you go, there you are. It's like that. You can't escape it because unless you work on your own energy, that's the only way in life where you be able to track lightness. And for right now, this chapter of my life, even though I'm no longer homeless and I'm getting into a new transition in my life, I still carry a lot of dark energy. And I was carrying that dark energy way before I was homeless. I didn't even realize that I was even carrying that. Because a lot of it's unconscious, like especially when you're dealing with generational trauma. Um, so be careful of that. Be careful of like um, that dark energy because it really can consume you. It's interesting, and I kind of want to bring this topic up before it's already 3:26 and time goes by fast. So I wanted to reveal a little bit of a little story before I go into even more into what I have written down. So initially, it was on Halloween. Surprisingly enough, that's kind of like a kind of a dark, dark time, because people always like dress up as like villainous characters in that time. So I was having like my own little dark thoughts, and I was like the night before, it was like I don't know, it was Halloween night, and I was like gonna not do the show. I I was gonna call up, the director Josh and just be like, you know what, I actually don't want to do the show anymore. Like I just was having like, second thoughts. And remember I told you at the beginning I have a hard time starting things? Yeah, I have a hard time starting things. You know why? Because of that black eye galaxy thoughts. Yeah, the dark thoughts. So I was like, you know what? I don't think this show's. I don't think it's worth it. It's not gonna. It doesn't even matter. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, so I got a text message November 1st from God. Yep, God texted me. Probably like, God texted you? Yeah, he did. He and she did. God texted me, and I think this is the. Honestly, I was like, damn, if I didn't get this text message on November 1st in the morning, I honestly would not be sitting here in this chair right now. I really wouldn't. Because once I got this text message, at first I was just like, in my human thought process, like, who's texting me? The person got the wrong number. Okay? No, because I don't have any Scorpio friends, so I didn't say happy birthday to anybody like last night. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna tell you what she said in my text message because this shit was crazy. I was like, oh Lord. I was like, God was like, you know what, young lady, I need you to come into my office. I need to talk to you because that's how I felt when I read this text message. It was like a big sign. So let me try to find the text message. Okay. So the girl was like, thank you for the birthday greetings. Wasn't it just yesterday we were at she was talking about, they were at some coffee shop eating pastries, and she's like, time flies, and she's like, I smile at the thought of your family. So this was the girl she was thinking, I guess, one friend that was, took her out, whatever. And then she was like, unfortunately, my health has diminished for the last few years, and now I spend too much time in bed. And she's like, my optimism remains strong, however, and I still drag myself out of the house for interesting meals and tango lessons. So like next on my list is getting back to the tennis courts and finally having the discipline to practice piano. Like this chick, the only part that I resonate was her spending. She says she spends too much time in bed, like in her house, not doing anything because of her health. I have a lot of health problems too. I didn't really mention that in my intro. It's kind of personal, but I really resonated with this text message because even though if you really think about it, she's basically saying even though she's having her health problems, she's still optimistic and she's still making time to go to her tango classes, to go out to eat within her, like, her health issues. So And then she's saying once she really gets better, she's gonna play tennis and she's gonna learn to practice the piano, like to have the discipline to practice piano. Now I took music theory in college. We studied with the keyboard. That is not easy. Okay. Now I quit because I have small hands and it was a disaster and all that. Unless I make a piano specifically for my hands, I'm not bothering with that ever again. But it was fun. You know what I mean? But anyways, like it's just reading this text message. I'm like, at first I was like, okay, this girl is talking too much, and I need to let her know like this is the wrong number. And then she was like, you know, talking, send one text, more message, and I let her know. I was like, oh my god, and I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, you know, happy birthday. I was like, but this is the wrong number. And she apologized, whatever. But again, this is God communicating with me. This is God saying, listen, yes, I see that you're depressed, but go out there and do something because there's other people depressed too like you and they're still going out and doing things. You know? So I was like, so stop with your excuses. You don't stop saying you're going to do this and then you don't do it. So I think God was just like, I'm done with you. Like, I'm tired. And God has, this is the thing. I get a lot of like little messages here and there. Even in the summer, I was getting, you know, a little sign here and there. So it's like it's me, you know what I mean? But it's not me, but it's me. So it's like I have to push myself because after reading that text message, it really hit me. Now, all right, you know what? Let me not cancel the show because if I do that, then God is really gonna be upset with me. Because what am I at this point? What am I doing? You know? Because this is the thing too. You can be in your depression. And we all are. I mean, I don't think even people that are millionaires and billionaires, even I personally don't think that they're really happy. That's just a personal opinion. I don't think anybody can truly be happy on this earth. I mean, cause everybody's gonna go through something. There's gonna be something in their life that's really gonna affect them powerfully. Um, and it's funny because I'm learning palmistry now. Right now, I'm studying. This is a really good book if anybody wants to pick up that. Um, you know, it's a little side thing because a lot of people don't know this, but I am very intuitive. I'm a psychic that doesn't do psychic readings, basically. I'm very intuitive. I have a very strong intuition. I think all Pisces do, just being a water sign. I'm also Moon in Scorpio, another water sign. That's a lot of water in my chart, so it makes me a lot. Makes me very sensitive, but at the same time very intuitive, which is a good thing. Because if you try to play with me, don't play with me. Don't, because I'm gonna find out. Sometimes I might even find out before you try to have any kind of agenda against me. So don't even try it. So anyways, yeah, I'm a psychic, and realizing my psychic intuition about just other people and about this world, and I'm like, a lot of people, we're not happy here. No. We're not happy at all. And I don't know if happiness should be the goal. I think for me personally, I'm at a phase in my life where like I don't care about, you know, just being happy. I just need to have the basics in my life. You know what I mean? After being homeless, I need to have like, you know, a level of dignity, a dignified way to live. And after being in the shelters and seeing how that was, there's nothing dignified about being homeless. It's a very, very demoralizing existence, and it's ugly. It makes you really want to give up on life when you're in that low vibrational state. So that's why I'm doing this show, because I realize I do have a lot to offer. I second guess myself, and I think God was like literally um, trying to give me a final warning. Because that's how I felt when I read that. When I finally like put it in perspective, and I was like, you know, that's not an accident. And you know what's funny? I never get text messages like that ever. Nobody ever be like, oh my god, wrong number, like, and it was just everything she said. I was like, come on, that's very specific to me. I resonate exactly what she's saying. Because even though my depression, I was always very optimistic. Even though I was going through my dark moments, I always still wanted to do like artwork or you know, take um, like still go out there and participate in things while I was homeless. So it was like I understand exactly what she's saying. You know, even though she's not doing good and she's in bed a lot. she still has a really optimism. I'm like that too. So, um, so I'm thankful that, I have this spiritual connection when God communicates with me. 'Cause sometimes for people that don't believe in God, they're atheists. They always be like, I don't get connections. I don't see anything. And I have God communicate with me in many ways. In this situation, it was high tech because I got a text message. Like I don't usually get text messages. I usually get messages in my dreams a lot of spiritual messages from God in my dreams. But in this situation, it was text. But I was like, look at God. I was like, he got my number, like, so you guys, I don't know, it's just, it's a good thing. Sometimes you need, and I didn't tell anybody, I didn't tell my friend, my family, or anything like that. I just kind of kept it to myself, but I was like, I don't want to, like, let people know, because then they're going to be like, oh God, you're always saying they're going to do something and you don't do it. And I have a big habit of doing that, so. So I wanted to, like, delve into, like, why I'm doing exactly this show, the Black Eye Galaxy, and who kind of the main audience is going to be for this show. So, if you're a man, you probably might not want to tune into the show because I'm going to be talking a lot about women. Just kind of because I realize in society, women, we don't have like enough physical spaces for ourselves to congregate. We don't have third spaces at all. That's a big problem. I mean, CCTV is a third space. Okay, like what's a third space for those of you who don't know? A third space is not work. It's not your home. I wouldn't even consider church a third space because it's kind of like, I would say a third space is something that doesn't really have a purpose. It's just a space that's not either your job or your home. This is another, or in church. I don't want to, I'll put church because it has a purpose. So work, home, and church, they all have three purposes. Obviously, you know what I mean? So those are your spaces. Now a third space, it's a whole nother space that's not connected with the main, spaces that everybody kind of goes through. And there's not enough of that in society. We don't have enough those spaces, which is why a lot of people feel alienated and they feel boxed in. Like I feel boxed in. I feel like sometimes when I'm like, I look at, and I hate capitalism. I really do. I'm not gonna talk much about politics on this show because politics is very, it's distracting. I just want to focus on spiritual topics. So this show will talk about a lot of spiritual topics. It will talk about different ways to get in tune within yourself, especially for women. Again, I'm going to be discussing a lot for women. But if you're a man and you want to watch this channel, by all means, I'm just saying, what is my target audience? Because I feel like as women, we really need our own spaces. I feel, even though I appreciate a man's energy sometimes, because a lot of times in the shelter, you needed a man's, um, I don't know. I have to give you a specific example why it was sometimes good to have a men around in the shelter. Okay, if there's girls fighting, maybe you need a man to divide it. You know what I mean? Like some cases, but I'm saying for the majority, we do need our separate spaces. I think we need more of that, more than we think, more than we realize actually. We do really need a lot of we need our space. Like we need our space for real. It's like, are you not tired? Like, we really need our space out here. And there's no space. None at all. And when you're a homeless woman, you really feel it. I'm telling you, there's a lot of times when you're homeless and you're a woman, um, and there's no, like, the reason why you need third spaces is because when you're homeless, every other space you have to pay for. Like, for instance, if I want to sit on Dunkin' Donuts and drink this, I have to pay for it. I can't just sit. I can't walk on Dunkin' Donuts. They're gonna be like, get out of here. Oh, you've been here too long. What are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, capitalism. Get out. If you don't have the money, get out. There's no third space where I can just walk in, you know what I mean? And just exist. Talk to other people. But maybe, sometimes I also think maybe some people will ruin it for others. And that's why we can't have third spaces because some people just ruin it for others. And they're gonna ruin it. They're gonna mess up that third space. Unless we set boundaries, set rules about who can enter these third spaces. So right now, since I can't create a physical third space for a woman, I'm gonna have to create the Black Eye Galaxy. This is gonna be a digital space for a woman to come in and talk about. I have a lot of things I want to discuss. So, but that's the main topic is um, cultivating a third space for women. It's 3:40, so I want to make sure I keep on the time. Cultivating a third space for women to come together to discuss like our issues. We have a lot of issues, and I want women to mind their womb. And I was kind of thinking, I made up this phrase like the other day. I was like thinking about like I need to learn how to mind my own womb. And what does that mean? It means pay attention to myself, but the womb in your area, in your body as a woman, that takes a lot of trauma. A lot of women carry that trauma in their womb, so in their private sacral chakra area. And a lot of women also don't pay mind to their own womb. Sometimes they're too busy paying attention to another woman's womb. So this channel will also help you mind your own womb. Like literally pay attention to yourself. Stop worrying about what another woman is doing. It's not going to benefit you. Also, really, it messes you up too internally because you're so focused on another woman and what she's doing, what she got on, or you know what I'm saying, how she's making money. It's not healthy. So that's another thing too is learning how to become come back into your own essence. And I want you to feel like you can come to this channel and forget about yourself for like a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I said, sometimes this world can really distract you and make you feel like you're not doing enough. Um, it's like it's always a sense of like competition out here. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I don't really like capitalism too. Sometimes it's like I want you to focus on your spiritual self, your higher self, and you can't really do that in this type of realm. America is not a spiritual place. It really isn't. They talk about Christianity a lot here, but it's just fluff. It's not real. So this channel is really going to be for women, people that really want to work on their spiritual higher self and mind their own wombs. If you want to mind your own womb, this is going to be a perfect channel for you. And also, I want to discuss more into generational trauma, mental health, um, in regards to how it affects women. So if you're a woman that has suffered from severe generational trauma, either um, obviously from your family, and then so there's a lot. There's going to be a lot of that I'm going to be discussing, but that's kind of like the main goal of this channel is really to focus on those areas. Womanhood, spirituality, and like I said, like severe trauma, like just people that have been really abused. You can learn a lot from people that have been abused, and I really think people, like a lot of therapists. I had recently a really bad incident with a therapist. I was an art therapist. I discovered art therapy when I was homeless. I was at a homeless women's shelter, and I really really liked it. And so I was like, you know what? Let me go back. Let me try to find an art therapist on my own. When I was stable, I was doing it when I was homeless. A lot of it at the homeless shelter. That's where I first discovered it. But in this situation, um, the art therapist, she was no good, very very bad. And I recorded I talked about it in I recorded I, I did a video documentary about it. Not documentary. I'm sorry. I kind of like just recorded my thoughts about our session because I think it's good when you do therapy to not to record your sessions during, but I mean after. Like talk about what you've been through. Like either you tape record it or you do a video by yourself and talk about what you've been through. Sometimes the reason why I'm saying to do this is sometimes you can forget what happened in the session. If you suffer from a lot of generational trauma, a lot of times what can happen is you have trouble remembering. I have a lot of trouble. Like I suffer from brain fog because of so much severe trauma. So I think it's really helpful to go after each session. Either you write about it, you can do video recording. I don't have sometimes the patients to always write, so sometimes I just record myself. So she was awful. She was literally awful. And you know what I think? And it's funny because I had a bad dream about her a week before the last thing. I was gonna cancel. I was gonna be like, you know what? I don't think it's gonna work with me and you. I should have just canceled it. So this is, you know, that was a lesson for me. Never ever to go for somebody like that ever again. But the main thing I want to discuss was I really think a lot of therapists have no clue what they're doing, or they don't even want to really be therapists. A lot of them are full of shit. I'm sorry to like swear, but it's true. Like they really have never gone through anything. And how can you, as a person, because I told her I was like, I told her I was homeless. I told her not everything. I didn't get too deep into my family trauma history, but I told her enough to know like, for her to like say what she said to me, it was not good. But I realized she had a very bad ulterior, bad energy. She had a very evil eye energy, a lot. And again, because of my generational trauma and the fact that I haven't, um, I still carry a lot of black eye, kind of the whole overwhelming energy. Um, I tend to attract, unfortunately, lower vibrational people onto me. I really do. And also, you have to remember, a lot of people that are dark, they're attracted to lightness, or people that have a light to them. And I remember if you see the picture of the black eye, the black eye galaxy, it's a little like you see a light, but then you just see a lot of dark dust particles around the nucleus. The little the light that's coming out of it. So that's why I'm saying that like it's the same thing on Earth with humans. You see these dark people, and then they want to like gravitate towards you. They want to, you know what I mean? Because you're light. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like, so I'm at a like, so I was pissed off about that incident, and I was like really, like, why do I have to even go through this at this point in my life? I'm just trying to see a therapist. I'm trying to, heal, and it's like, but I'm happy I went through that because I'm gonna put on my documentary because um, I will go deep into this in another episode. But therapy is very dangerous. The reason why I was it's very dangerous because unless you study psychology and you have like your own research that you've done about therapy, a lot of therapists are dangerous because of how much knowledge they know about that field and how to really mess with you, and you don't know the ins and outs of that world. So you're just coming in, and unless you studied it, but if you did not study it, it's like you're in the lion's den. That's how I felt. Even though I was letting her know too, I was kind of like letting her know. I'm like, you never been through anything. You know what I mean? Like I was like, what have you been through for real? Like, because just because you study therapy doesn't mean you're also going to be good at being a therapist too. That's another big misconception. People just think, oh, get a therapist. If you have mental health issues, find a therapist. I'm like, that's not always a solution because a lot of these therapists, they're mediocre. They really are. A lot of them also go to therapy school to fix their own problems because they also have mental health issues and they want to fix themselves, really. So that really pissed me off, and I was like, you know what? How dare you? But you know what? She has an ulterior, and those are the worst people. The worst people is the type of people that go into a certain field to help people, right? No, you didn't come there to help people. You came here to harm people. That's what you came there to do. And they know exactly how to harm you because you know, they've studied how to do it because you have to learn and to be a therapist you have to know how people get damaged in the beginning. They studied years and years of study. So therapy was, be careful when you find a therapist. Do a lot of research. And art therapy, the only reason why I was trying to do art therapy was because I didn't want to do talk therapy. I don't think talk therapy is as healthy for somebody that has years and years of stored trauma in their body. Because trauma, it gets stored in your body and it doesn't get released by talking therapy, but it does get released when you're creating. So if you're creating anything, you're releasing trauma. Anytime you're creating, that's trauma being released out of your body. So if you're using your hands, that's good. It's very really good. So 3:49. I'm almost at the end of the show is gonna be ending in a couple of minutes, but yeah, just be careful when you do therapy. It's a very dangerous like, even though that's a healing modality that we have mainstream in the mainstream, therapy is still something to be apprehensive about, because you're trusting a stranger. Okay, you don't know this person. They know more about you than you know about them, because the whole time in therapy, you can never really get to know your therapist unless they talk about themselves. Sometimes they might say little things about themselves here and there. But it's very scary because it's like this person knows so much. You don't know a lot, and like I said, unless you studied it, um, and you don't even know if they're helping you and really helping you. And a lot of them, and I hate to sound like this, but I'm in a period in my life where I don't hate people, but I really want to keep my distance from people. I just need my space because after being homeless, I'm traumatized from people, individuals in general. So I really I want to engage with people, but indirectly. So this is my little way of like doing an engagement, but not having to put so much of my energy out there, because right now this is the introductory phase of my life, and it's just I'm tired. I'm tired of meeting people that just are negative, like not good people. Um, and it's just for me. I don't have the patience that I did when I was younger, because now that I'm 36, I no longer have that patience anymore. So I will do my YouTube channel, but if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, some days I might not respond. I might not really be, but I will always upload. But just respectfully, just realize why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's really for my mental health. People really trigger me, for real. And I never used to be like that. Like, I'm not a shy at all. I'm not a shy person. And I am an introvert, but introvert doesn't mean you're socially awkward or you're shy. It means that you need time away from others to regain your energy, because that means when you're around other people drain you. Whereas extroverts, they get energized by being around every people. If they're by themselves, they feel like, oh my god, I feel drained. I feel like lost. If I'm by myself, I feel depressed. And I'm the opposite. If I'm around too many people, I get depressed. I'm like, I need to be by myself, because my energy is getting weakened by other people. I absorb everybody's energy because I'm water. So water needs space. So for right now, I'm going through just like a very private kind of, I'm being a recluse. And I'm really thankful for um, you know, having God allow me to like be at the stage where I am, because I'm not the same person that I was 10 years ago when I was doing spirituality with Eden. No, that girl is not the same. And I will break that down, for the show. So if you um, have liked what I've said so far and you want to tune in, definitely subscribe to my channel. I will definitely upload every week. And this show will be going on every Thursday from 3 to 4. If you live in the Cambridge area, you can watch it live. But again, I'm going to have my YouTube channel, and I'll post all my episodes there so you can keep up with me. But again, I said this is a very crucial time for me to like really, I guess what I want to say is, when I was homeless, I was always on a survival mode. When you're homeless, you don't have time for yourself. The only thing that you're trying to do when you're homeless, you're just trying to survive. That's it. You're not even trying to like, for real, you don't even dress up, nothing. You don't have time. Thankfully, when I was homeless, my hair was short, but it was already short before I went to the shelter, because I had a nervous breakdown, mental health, and I shaved my hair all off. But you don't have time like um, for your physical self, taking care of yourself, none of that. It's like you can take care of yourself, but you're really trying to survive. So now that I'm not homeless anymore, I'm just trying to focus on my inner self. So this show will help me kind of get back into the swings of nurturing my inner self, because I was not able to do that when you're homeless. When you're homeless in this society, you can't nurture yourself. There's no way. The only thing that you could do is really be on survival mode, and it's horrible. It really is. And before the show ends, it's 3:54. It has 3 more minutes. I just wanted to like make a little bit of a 'cause I know this week has been tough for a lot of people because of the election or whatever. And I wanted to give people like a little bit of a message before, because I'm not somebody who's I mean, in the past, I kind of was keeping up with politics, but this show, I don't really want to put the emphasis on politics. It is very important, And I'm not surprised by the results because I'm like, this country doesn't respect women. It never did. You know, if you look at the history of this country and how it started, it was always for a man. Period. You know what I mean? So, and the white man, I have to be specific. It was always for the white man. That was how it was created for him. So I'm not surprised by the election results at all. But what I will say is that it's not the end of the world because you have to understand life is not the same all the time. It always changes. Um, the good news, there's a good news and the bad news. I remember there was a psychic, it was a couple of years ago, and she was like, she said something about Donald Trump, and she was like, she said that he was going to be the last president of America. And I was like ever. That's the good news, okay? That means ever in life, there's never gonna be anybody after him. Do you understand that? That's the good news. He's the last. This is a dying empire. Okay, so that's a good sign. That means there's change gonna come. Okay, and 4 years goes by fast. But I mean, again, this is America is kind of on the downhill. You know, a lot of people, the American dream now is to get out of America, is to really get out of here. It's not a good place. So the bad news is that he did get elected, but it's the same old, same old. America has never really changed. I mean, not really. It never has changed attitudes towards people of color. But I want to leave that. So it's 3:56. I wanted to let you know that's the good news. This is going to be the last, and I believe it. Like I said, put it here. He's going to be the last person ever. So that's a good sign. Because I know they try to compare America to Egypt. I'm like, don't ever compare Egypt, my ancestral land, to America. Never. Don't flatter yourself. Because Egypt was actually ruled by queens. So this is gonna be the end of my show. So if you're viewing, thank you so much for coming.